Hey, guess what, everyone? I got some good news. In fact, very good. It's very good. I can finally afford a NASCAR team. Except that is a complete lie. You know what the thing is that I can afford most of a NASCAR team. Most of a NASCAR team. I can afford an engine, I can afford bodies, I can even afford chassis. But the one thing that I can't afford is brakes.
On the PCSX2 emulator, there is a controller map. As you can see, normally using a controller on PCSX2 will function as one would expect it to. However, by simply changing the L2 button to a button on my keyboard, this will remove the L2 mapping from my controller, meaning that the brake pedal will no longer work in the game. I've done quite a few NASCAR gaming challenges on this channel, but this one will be the most daunting yet. Also, it's 2007, by the way. That's right, NASCAR Thunder 2004 mods are finally beginning to come into existence. This is all thanks to AJ Faye, who you should subscribe to and join his Discord server. The links will be in the description.
Okay, before we fall any further behind, let's just get to the point. Can you win a championship in NASCAR Thunder 2004 without brakes? This is a Casey Kane lunchbox. Be sure to stick around to the end of stage 2 for this video. Yes, I'm serious. Be sure to stick around to the end of stage 2 of this video, and we will find out what is inside the Casey Kane lunchbox. The anticipation is killing me.
I decided to play as Carl Long in this challenge because he is someone I would assume NASCAR would not pull to the side and warn him that he forgot to put brakes in his car. I also made the car pink in honor of breast cancer awareness because I thought this video was going to come out in October. Yes, that is how much my life has fallen apart. Also, since it's 2007, the rest of the field has moved on to Dodge Charger bodies, and I'm stuck with the Intrepid still. L+ ratio. The odds are very much stacked against us in this challenge. I signed Kmart onto 3 slots on the car and signed Dick Trickle to be my front tire changer. Welcome to 2007! I do have some bad news to start things off though. I have no idea why, but the footage for races 1 and 2 of this playthrough are completely fucked. I don't know what happened. I recorded them the exact same way I recorded all the other footage, so I have to assume it's just the world trying to piss me off for no reason other than to see me suffer. And let me tell you, it's working. For Daytona 500 qualifying, I struggled to hold a straight line due to the lack of pressure sensitivity in my controller inputs. Yes, for this entire challenge, I did not have pressure sensitivity in the analog sticks. That's because I was unaware that you needed to activate this button in the PCSX2 controller configuration in order to have pressure sensitivity. That would have been really nice to know about before doing this challenge, but that is neither here nor there at this point. Just know that I qualified 25th, which was good enough for Kmart, and that means it's good enough for me. For the first few laps of the Daytona 500, I mainly just gazed in awe at the new paint schemes for 2007. Everything was going great, and I was making passes left and right. It seemed like this race was going to be super easy, and that's when people began slowing down to hit pit road. This led me to slowly realize something incredibly troubling.
Wait a minute. I got a pit!
In every race in career mode in NASCAR Thunder 2004, no matter the race length, you're required to make at least one pit stop. At the beginning of the 1991 NASCAR season, a new mandate was issued regarding pit road speed limits. Ever since then, people that drive on pit road above the speed limit will get a pit road penalty. And this is no different in NASCAR Thunder 2004. Due to the fact I cannot use the brakes in this challenge, this will make getting down to pit road speed at most tracks very difficult, and in the case of Daytona, essentially impossible without losing a ton of time. But the racing gods were looking at me in good grace for this event as a caution came out on lap 5. It was Clint Boyer, who I forgot had been added to the game, running out of talent by himself and getting run into off of turn 2. This turn of circumstance allowed me to hit the pit lane under caution, no braking required. Something really funny happens when a caution comes out in the middle of the pit cycle. A lot of times cars will stay out during the caution period and then come down immediately after green or just straight up run out of the gas on the track. This can cause insane stack-ups and devastating wrecks. Unfortunately, no wrecks happened this time around, but the field checking up did give me several spots. It still wasn't enough for the win as exactly one car did not get held up by the pitters. Denny Hamlin had driven off by himself to a mighty lead coming to the white flag. I tried running the cleanest line I could around the track, but without drafting help or pressure sensitivity, I couldn't match the FedEx machine. Carl Long finished second in the 2007 Daytona 500. It was not a perfect start to the season, but it was a fine place to begin the quest to the championship. But as well as Daytona went, it was time for a reality check.
If you smell what is cooking?
Denny Hamlin was back on the pole, looking like he might want to be a championship contender. How cute! In qualifying, I quickly realized how difficult this challenge was going to be. Rockingham is an easy enough track under normal rules, but getting the car slowed down in the corners is not easy without a brake pedal, if you can believe that. I have to get out of the gas so much earlier than I expected in order to make a corner without hitting the wall. I was pushing so hard to the left that the HUD was turning on and off, and I was still hitting the wall in the center. But through it all, this was still good enough for a 14th place to start. When the green flag waved for lap 1 in race 2, it was as if the real game had begun. The first turn coming up to speed was fine, but from then on it was a constant struggle to get woed down enough to make every corner, and more often than not, I didn't get out of the gas in time and just ran into whoever was unfortunate enough to be in front of me in the turn. This resulted in mostly 30s and sometimes even 60s because the game was being very mean. I don't have facts to back this up, but I think that the rival points are even more sensitive on emulator than on console. It seemed like more people hated me than usual, and I should know. I'm Kamikaze Games. I am aware of the average level of hatred being levied in my direction at all times, and let me tell you, this playthrough was an outlier in that regard. All of that being said, I was making steady progress. We were solidly in the top 10 through the first 5 laps, but this appeared to be where our progress would peak. I had to work for every pass from here on, though we were up to second by the time pit road would become active. And it's no surprise that we were this fast using the strategy. I was only doing what Steve Park did in 2001.
He told me to stay off the brakes, and we stayed off the brakes all day long and won the race.
So, here we are. It's time to pit without brakes, but for real. I stayed out as long as I could, hoping for another caution to save me, but was not so fortunate. I didn't think far enough ahead before deciding to do this challenge, so my only idea was to drive as hard as possible on the pit road and eat the 5-second penalty every time. I was going to have to rely on the work of a starter pit crew to keep me in this race, and in fairness, they did put up a decent 18-second stop, which is by no means bad for this level of pit crew. But between damage repair and the penalty, I was in the pit box for over 23 seconds, and yet somehow it only fallen to 16th place after the stop. The entire field must have had bad trips down pit lane or something. I don't know, man. I was slowly starting to catch up to the front pack until lap 12 when I forgot I didn't have a brake pedal and ran straight into the back of the 0-1 of Mark Martin. Naturally, the car decided to give up here, and the caution was out. I sat there fumbling around and spinning on the apron, praying for the cutscene to hit. Before it did, too little too late. I was back in 21st for this restart, and my championship hopes were already on the ropes in race 2 of 36. I knew I was going to have to work for this race and set to it. The problem with not having brakes is you literally have no way to outbrake your opponents into corners. This is the main way to pass in NASCAR Thunder 2004. and with a car that was so underpowered, I was trapped in 18th place hell for a few laps. David Stremme decided he was not going to let me pass under any circumstances, and was given 2 30s for his troubles. I was hitting everything and just doing whatever I could to get to the top 10. I had countless logo rivals everywhere and it seemed completely hopeless. I did, however, manage to find myself in 10th place coming to the white. But with 2 logo rivals in front of me, I planned on just staying safe. This is, of course, not what happened, as a 66 rival Bobby Labonte decided to hit me into turn 3, which sent me into the wall. Astonishingly, none of the other damage prior to this had affected the car at all up to this point. But this one specific hit into the wall was enough to blow the right front tire and kill the car's momentum. I'm not even kidding when I say this is the first time I have ever blown a tire from playing NASCAR Thunder 2004 the way it's intended to be played. Of course, I've seen blown tires in the DNF streams, and even when screwing around in Tony Raines, but I've never even saw this happen once before in an actual race. This caught me completely off guard, and I lost 8 spots coming to the line, finishing 17th in race 2 and killing all the momentum I had from Daytona. Since I recorded this with Bandicam, you're actually able to hear my live reactions to this moment. I wish you could actually view the footage at a higher FPS than 2 though. That would have been nice. The good news is that all the remaining original footage is not shitty, so we can actually watch and enjoy this video now! Race 3 of 2007 is at Las Vegas. Vegas is notoriously difficult in Season 1, and I was not looking forward to this race at all. It's hard enough when you've actually got a brake pedal. We don't, in case you forgot. I was surprised to get 22nd in qualifying, however, that I did not expect. I use the same line that I use in normal Thunder events at Vegas, which is under the white line. Fun fact, going under the white line in EA NASCAR games automatically reduces your speed. I don't know why this is the case, but it applies in all PS2 EA NASCAR games, and it's pretty jarring. It's also annoying when you want to roleplay actual NASCAR rules because you go arbitrarily slower than the AI under the white line off the pit lane. For once, this quote feature benefits us as it gives us help slowing the car down in the corners. Honestly, coasting into the corners at Vegas was super effective. I was making my way downtown like nothing and was up into the top 10 by lap 4. The last place I was expecting to run well in this challenge was Vegas, and I was savoring every moment. I was due for a reality check, however, as I hit the pit lane on lap 7. The pit crew actually had another great stop, but it was another 23-second stop after the penalty, and this left me all the way back in 32nd? Oh, no! Yeah, that is the true power of a bad pit stop on 5% race length. The only good news I had to fall back on was the fact rookie difficulty AI will pack up, and soon enough I was making moves once again. No one else runs under the white line in this game, which meant it was free real estate for me. I drove it to the top 20, but was struggling coming to the white. I went on the inside, 3 wide into the final corner, just hoping for a couple extra spots, when the field ahead checked up. I was so focused on surviving the 3 wide that I didn't notice the incident in time. Not having brakes meant I couldn't slow down to avoid the wreck or go left. Right was my only escape, and it wasn't enough, and I drove right into Kurt Busch. This, of course, destroyed the engine immediately, and the car automatically applied brakes that I did not have access to. The car was stopped before the finish line, and I DNF'd. As funny as this was, it was pretty much the nail in the coffin for any chance I had this season, so I had to make the difficult decision to restart the race. Oh dear. Is that what I think it is? Is that a restart counter? Oh, that's not a good sign. Oh, I don't like that. That only means bad things from here. The second attempt at Vegas was not much different than the first until pit stops happened. A caution came out during said pit stop, Ricky Run had a ton of damage for unknown reasons and brought out debris. I guess now is as good a time as ever for another fun fact. When the caution comes out and you're already on the pit lane, it almost always gives you a great spot for the restart, even though you absolutely should be in the 20s and pass by people who had already pit or even a lap down. Instead, what happens is the game will usually line you up ahead of everyone who already pit and most of the people you came on the pit lane with, even if they beat you off the pit lane. You see this as I restart in 4th. Imagine that. It appeared as though it was going to be a battle between Harvick and Carl Long for the win at Vegas. That was until Matt Kenseth said fuck that and drove around me on the outside. I could not match the pace of the 2003 Cup Series champion and finished 2nd for the 2nd time in 2007. This was disappointing in a sense that I was faster than Harvick and pretty much everyone else in the field, but the only car on the track faster than me was the one in front, and I had to settle for 2nd again. The good news stopped there, however, as I found myself 3rd in points after Vegas. 63 behind, you guessed it, Matt Kenseth. So him not winning would have been way better, yes. Whatever. On to Atlanta. This was a track I was excited for, as you usually aren't even using brakes here as it is. Qualifying went very well, and so did the majority of the race. Pitting at halfway almost resulted in a legal pit stop. But I got back onto the track in a reasonable 20th and was charging down the leaders with 5 to go. The AI was packing up and running 3 wide, not giving me many options. 7th place appeared to be the upper limit for the car as I got a logo rival with Jeff Gordon and let Casey drive by. Jimmy Johnson, in fact, won this race. No, stop, we're not doing that again. I still lost points in this race, of course. Kenseth was proving to be a worthy adversary, and our battle was sure to be legendary. Darlington was next on the schedule. Carl Edwards was not only in the game, but he was also on the pole. This race was going to be all about the checkups at the start. And it was. Along with all the rival points I was getting for forgetting that I had no brakes. I was hitting every car that I passed, but you couldn't argue with the progress as I was into the top 10 by lap 3. It was really beginning to look like I was getting the hang of this whole no brakes thing. I even drove into the lead on lap 8. Running this well, I thought I had this race in the bag, so I decided to try something. I got out of the gas pretty much straight off of turn 2 and was going to try to make pit lane entry without speeding. The car was indeed slowing down, but it wasn't at a desperately fast rate. The steering radius was also noticeably not working in my favor. I bet you know where this is going.
I'm sure our sponsors don't want to see a beat-up car, buddy.
Honestly, the only thing I'm shocked about is that the engine didn't immediately explode from this. Pitting under caution brought me back out in 12th, which is nowhere near where I deserved to be, but I was okay with this. Forward progress was slow from this point, however, and it was looking like another missed opportunity. That was until lap 12. I don't know why the AI does this, but it sure does help keep things interesting. This nonsense put me in the lead with 2 laps to go, and all I had to do was survive. This was a good win, but Kenseth in the top 5 meant I made not a lot of progress. 72 points back is over half a race. And we've only just gotten started here, folks. It's gonna be a long season.
And with that, we have reached the end of stage number 1 for this video. And just like how in real life at the end of stages, it's a perfect opportunity for a commercial break, let's take one right now and thank today's sponsor for the video. That's going to be the channel members, the KG Appreciators, and the Omega Appreciators.
Did you know that for only $6.99 per month, you too can support the Kamikaze Games channel and help make this special content possible? For Mega Appreciators, you can have early access to videos like this one and get a special shout out during the member segment, which goes a lot like this. Thank you to Adam Pehl, TJ Arnhold, VaporLyfe, Alex Johanning, Chris T, Mutant Turkey, and JadyLan for being Mega Appreciators. If you are not blessed with a fat bank account, or if you want to support the channel but still be frugal about it, then Standard KG Appreciator tier may be the tier for you, because at only $2.99 a month, the price of a bag of Doritos at the gas station, you still can get access to channel emotes, and I will list your name in the description of every upload. Thank you for considering supporting the Kamikaze Games channel. I hope that someday I will at least be consistently happy enough to get back to uploading semi-regularly. Thank you again, and let's return to the video. Oh baby, oh baby, oh baby. It's Bristol. What? I had no idea how to approach qualifying for this track, but did somehow manage to get 15th. We all know that skill, equipment, good pit crews, none of it matters when it comes to Bristol. The only thing that matters is the saintly southern wildlife extraordinaire, oh, wait, that's right. This is the 2007 mod. This means that Ward Burton is not going to bring out the caution here. Well, this sure is a whole lot less magical. Yeah, that's right. Bristol in NASCAR Thunder 2004, the developers did not do a whole lot of testing at this track because more often than not, a caution will come out for Ward Burton coming out of his pit stall. This completely breaks strategy at this track and is the reason we are going to stay out as long as possible waiting for a caution, because even if we did pit, caution would trap us multiple laps down and pretty much ruin our race. I waited as long as I could, and it was beginning to seem like Ward's absence had actually been noted by the game, as a caution never came out. I made the hard left turn on lap 14 and did what I imagined would be the impossible in this playthrough. Not speeding was crazy enough, but because I stayed out for so long, I was going to be way behind the rest of the field due to tire differential. So I took right sides only to try and keep up. This put me right back where I started in 13th place. I was okay with this. Speed was surprisingly not an issue, but what was an issue was 66 rival Jeff Gordon blocking any possible progress. Spent the rest of the race trying to get his rival level down and could only muster 14th at Bristol. Casey sadly did not beat Dale Jr., and I finally made up some points on Kenseth. It was time to head to one of my favorite tracks, Texas. Qualifying was pretty much as mid as possible with 21st place. I was determined to win this race and nearly ate shit in the first corner. Passing was difficult to a point, and I made a bit of a discovery that could help me out in this playthrough. There is a way to use the brakes in this game without pressing the brake pedal. Fun fact! Drafting close to the rear end of the AI in EA NASCAR games automatically slows you down in most cases. It exists in all PS2 era EA NASCAR games, but is most pronounced in Thunder 2004. As you can see, I close on the rear end of these guys and the car just slows itself down. I have no idea what this is trying to simulate. If it's trying to simulate the bubble of air on the rear end of the Gen 4 cars from this era, then it's doing a really bad job. If anything, that bubble of air gave the car in front a huge push rather than slowing down the car in the back. Either way, this really does hurt you a lot in the early game at plate tracks especially. In this playthrough though, it could actually help me out in some tracks like this one to get pointed in the corners better, which is exactly what happened at Texas. I was practically flying through the field like this was a normal race in this game and was third behind Johnson Labonte by halfway. Got out of the gas early to try and make it down pit road, but pretty much got the worst of both worlds here. I didn't get down to pit speed and still got a penalty, but I was more focused on winning the race than trying to get to the pit lane as fast as possible. Frustratingly, the crew had another amazing stop too, and all I could do was sit there and watch the entire field go by. I was outside the top 20 with 5 laps to go. Noticing a pattern here? Passing was easy, but I just didn't have enough time. It was only good enough for 7th. I knew that I could have won this race, and it was only made worse when I found out Gordon was the winner. It made me want to restart and try it again, but that looming restart counter in the upper right made me rethink that idea, and I moved on. Talladega was next, and I did not bother qualifying. A very good checkup moved me into the top 10 by lap 2. There was no caution, but I took 2 tires and beat everyone off the pit lane that I came down with, even with the penalty. Things were looking great until I was jump scared by a caution on lap 5. Daytona 500 winner Denny Hamlin ran out of talent, and this kinda screwed me. I pit pretty early and didn't think I'd be able to make it to the end, so I pit under this caution. There is a very strategic reason I did this though. Remember that fun fact about mid-cycle cautions? Yeah, that's exactly what happened. But it really wasn't that helpful, and barely anyone got held up by the guys running out of gas. All I got from this effort was 14th, and what's worst is it wasn't even an interesting winner. Worst possible outcome in this one, man. We really needed to get some momentum on our side. Maybe the next race would be able to help us turn it around. Oh, never mind, it's Martinsville. This is where the challenge gets a little challenging. This track is pretty much impossible under this rule set. You need to slow down so much in Martinsville to make corners, and hitting the wall is just about as ineffective as slowing down naturally by coasting. Running a full Chastain lap gave me 36, which was in fact qualifying money, but I still had to find a way to run a 25-lap race without destroying the car or anyone else on the track. It quickly became evident that this was not going to be feasible, and I was dead very fast. The good news, however, is that Casey won this race, which meant I could not restart, and I finished last. After getting some new sponsors, devastatingly losing Kmart in the process, it was time to go to California, another fast track you don't need too many breaks for. With a little help from Tears for Fears, I got 10th in qualifying. Kyle Busch blocked me all the way up the track, but that didn't stop me from making this slick pass. The other Kyle Petty, decided to spin out for no reason and ruin this race. There was 9 laps to go in the event, and I made the brilliant deduction that pitting under caution and not getting penalized would be more effective than pitting under green and getting penalized. I was just going to have to hope the car could make it. The rest of the field started coming down on lap 5, but not before yet another caution reared its ugly head. This pretty much ensured that I had 0 chance of making it, so I came down yet again. I was hoping the AI would get confused again and help me out. That is not what happened, and I was struggling big time. I was only good enough to finish 8th. Things were not looking good as I was 5th in points and officially a full race back. Yikes. Thankfully, Richmond was next, another one of my favorite tracks. Certainly this is what we need. 17th. It works, except it doesn't, because once again, the only real way to pass is by hitting people. I actually slowed down for pit lane for the second time in the playthrough, and now would have been a terrible time for the pit crew to have a bad stop. They did not have a bad stop, and we did not lose any spots. Sadly, I was still outside the top 10. I could not make up spots at this point and just struggled to do anything. I was determined to not finish behind the 18, however, and sent it for the final lap. Many rival points were earned, and I finished 5th. Of course, I finished behind Kenseth and Gordon, so absolutely no points were gained in the standings. You know, I was worried about doing this challenge on the 2007 mod because I was worried the AI was going to be randomized and make this too easy, but if anything, it's actually harder on this mod. Kenseth and Gordon have had no bad finishes through 11 races in 2007. This is actually brutal. I was 150 points back headed into the All-Star race. Winning $1 million would go far in this playthrough. My entire strategy at this point was getting the car to the point it was so overpowered that I didn't have to worry about losing 5 seconds every pit stop. The first stage of the All-Star race is usually not a problem. All you have to do is finish top 20, and there are 21 cars in the race. Literally just need to not finish last, right? Well, loyal viewer, let me explain the caveat of this first stage in the All-Star race. You have to make a 4-tire pit stop during this stage. But not just any 4-tire stop, it needs to be under green. And did you know what we get every single green flag pit stop? Oh yeah, that's right, a 5-second penalty! So yeah, there's essentially no hope. I saw people hitting the pit lane and just stayed out awaiting my fate. That was until the shining stallion on the horizon of Kyle Petty decided to be a bro and blow up, locking me into 20th and advancing me to the next stage by default. Thank you so much, Kyle. I knew there was a reason Soundgarden wrote a song about you. The pit stop was unsurprisingly a disaster, and I finished 20th in stage 1. Thankfully, there is no more pitting for this event, so we are good to go to the end. This is, of course, what I would say if this was not the No Brakes Challenge, because I had no speed in stage 2 and barely made it to stage 3. From there, we were still slow. We finished 8th in the All-Star race, Casey Mears did not win, and we got $0 from the event. It was essentially a complete waste of 17 minutes of my life. Let's head to the Coke 600. We were mid in qualifying like usual, and the race began. The whole field was packed up, but we were flying. We passed Reed Sorensen for third on lap 6, and the battle was on for the lead. I was feeling it, man. The car was so fast, and the AI were just laying over for me. Things were great, especially the logo rivals. I had practiced in the All-Star race the timing to get down to pit road speed. I was so ready to put the plan into execution on lap 10. This was, of course, until I was unceremoniously ran into by Jeff Gordon, who boosted the speed of me, and I, of course, could not slow down to mitigate it. Through it all, we still did not make pit road speed and lost everything I had gained in the race. Coming off the pit lane, we were once again outside the top 30 with only 7 laps to go. This was not a fun moment, but I knew I had the car underneath me. Lap after lap and turn after turn, I was picking them up and putting them down. And try as he may, not even a 70 rival Dale Jr. could stop me. It was all going to come down to the last lap. It was me, Casey, and Boyer. Casey decided he did not want to win the Coke 600 and gave up out of the quad oval. This ruined my entry into turn 1, but I still had some speed on exit. It wasn't enough speed and Boyer just sat in the middle of the track. I had no ideas into turn 3. Oh, no! No! God! I don't know if you can tell, but I really wanted to win that race. This challenge had been kicking me in the balls all night, and I was 3.5 hours into recording. Even after that fantastic comeback, we had gained basically nothing as far as points were concerned, and we were heading into one of my worst tracks when I'm playing the game normally, which is Dover. The darkness really was falling over the kingdom of Carl Long, but hey, it couldn't get worse, right? Oh! So yeah, Dover, I guess. You're essentially guaranteed to get dead last if you don't have brakes. I was surprised by this. I really didn't think that brakes would matter this much here, but apparently they do. And not only that, the AI is shit! The AI just do not give a fuck about you here. It is nearly impossible to race them, especially with how early you need to get out of the gas. They just come across your nose and slam on the brakes. There is no hope at this track. I'm not sure how I managed to survive this attempt, but we got 6th and still lost points. By this point, I was not having any fun whatsoever, but continued playing because I am who I am after all. Next up is Poke Oh No, and oh no is right, because I made a discovery during this race. Fun fact, AJ's mod also attempts to fix qualifying. Do you recall how easy qualifying in this game normally is? Well, as it turns out, AJ noticed too, and he made some changes to how the AI work before every race. And I mean every single race. Wow. Top half? I thought that was gonna be a pole. We just gained like a second on that lap, and we moved up. What is this NASCAR heat fucking qualifying differences? I thought we had it won. All tracks have been adjusted and qualifying has been completely redone essentially. This means that this entire challenge might look completely different on console versus in the mod. Oops! Hopefully no one is too mad about this fact. Either way, we started 15th at Pocono. This track was shockingly easy with no brakes, and I was fighting for the lead for the first half of the event, doing everything I could to stay ahead of Kenseth. Got out of the gas super early and once again actually made pit road speed. The pit crew was killing it, but we lost time with repairs, of course. We were still outside the top 10 once everything cycled out. I'm not sure why, but it seems like the second run at Pocono is always way harder than the first run. It just doesn't make any sense, dude. We got another top 10, but it didn't matter. We lost even more points. I'm getting killed out here, man. What's it gonna take? Michigan is next. We got 9th in qualifying. Sure, why not? This is another good track for this challenge because you don't use a whole lot of brakes, and we, in fact, had some speed. I came off pit road and very nearly got cream pied by Johnson, but we survived and came out in the usual outside of the top 20 position. Things were not going well. I was not having fun. Labonte blocked me all the way up the track, and I just wasn't having it. Kenseth, Gordon, and Boyer were all in the top 5, and I couldn't even get into the top 10. So I rage quit this race, which meant I had to exit career mode. Guess what? I didn't save after Pocono. So guess where we're going back to? This attempt at Pocono looked a lot like the first until I died on the front stretch for absolutely no reason. This gave us a free pit stop, which I was more than happy to take. No one else in the field decided to pit. I was like, sure, this is fine. Everyone else pit under green, but I didn't. I definitely did not intend for this to happen, but I am super stoked about the fact that it did. If it's any consolation, I'm still 112 points back, so it's not like I gained much from this. Back in Michigan, I qualified better this time around, but the race itself went pretty much the same as the first attempt. This was, of course, until I decided to try and pit. The cutscene took forever to hit, and I was dead. Attempt number 3 in Michigan was by the numbers. I tried pitting on lap 5 again, but despite the fact that Casey was not behind me, I still died and the caution still came out. I guess I'm just not allowed to have a normal race at this track. We restarted 34th and a big checkup gave us some early spots. That wasn't even people running out of gas. No, in fact, they waited all the way until the white, and magically, I was in P1. You will be shocked to hear that my logo rival Jimmy Johnson did not pit, and we were about to have a fight to the finish. Jimmy tried off a turn 2, but I managed to hit him enough to slow him down. This gave me enough of a gap to have this race in the bag. This, of course, meant that I went way too far into turn 3. The car wouldn't turn, and by the time it did, it was too late to do anything, and I once again handed Jeff Gordon another NASCAR win. It would be so funny if it wasn't so sad. I did actually, however, gain points from this race for once. Things were not going well, as you can imagine, and the problems were only going to compound from here because it's time. It's time for Infineon! Okay, well, we just have to hope that the AI doesn't fucking try. A few, and then we still hit the wall and die immediately. Sure. Of course it's Newman. That's a 90 rival right there. Slow down, please slow down. We're basically guaranteed to get a 60 in that turn. Okay, we got pitters. I think I'm gonna be one of them. That was the pit lane speed. Sure. Yeah, that makes sense. We have to do it on this race because I'm never gonna get a pit stop this good again. That's my new brake pedal, is the inside wall. Genius strategy, dude. Oh my god, I'm so smart. We can make up time on this first half of the lap. Look at this shit. This is so stupid, dude. Okay, we are ahead of Gordon. Okay, I see you. I see you. We're still behind Stremme, sadly. We're actually closing in on 4th place. Can we slow down? We're not turning, please. No, not like this. Never mind, we're still gonna get 5th! What a drive! The stadium is electric! We got 5th in this fucked up race! Finishing 5th at Infineon came at the price of losing more points to Boyer, but if you ask me, losing 5 points is a lot better than losing 105 points. I'm gonna call this one a moral victory, and head into the return at Daytona. At this point I was working behind the scenes to try and add a virtual gamepad to the video just so you could see the insane inputs I have to use in the challenge, and also add video evidence that I am holding down the brake button and nothing's happening. This is a bit of a rough start to the input visualizer though. As you can see, I hadn't figured out the chroma filter yet, so we've just got a giant white border around the controller, but the good news is that this is Daytona, and nothing happens here anyway. We got the speeding penalty of course, but took 2 tires and got out ahead of everyone. The field caught up with 2 to go, so we would at least have an interesting fight to the finish on our hands. Just like every single Pepsi 400, it was Gordon in my mirror. Finally in a fitting Pepsi paint scheme too, how about that? I had 3 wide traffic behind me out of turn 2 and hit the wall, but I was absolutely not going to let Gordon by me. Unfortunately, 1 car didn't get around me. It was the one car I would have been happy about getting passed by in literally any other context in the game of NASCAR Thunder 2004. It was the target number 41, but in this universe, it was being driven by Rene Sorensen. I was kind of hopeful that maybe the car was powerful enough at this point to keep me up in the draft, and maybe Sorensen would not be overpowered like most A-level drivers. But those hopes were dashed. I couldn't hold the line in the turns, and Sorensen drove off. Just like I do in every challenge video, I did not win the Pepsi 400. Rene Sorensen took his first career NASCAR win, and I was still 53 points behind Bowyer. But the good news is that for Chicagoland, I got the chroma filter working. Look at that! Isn't that neat? There is more good news for Chicagoland because despite running the middle and hitting the wall off of turn 2, the qualifying lap was somehow good enough for the first pole of the challenge. Doing it in 2007 and in honor of Casey, of course. Legendary. The race was going swimmingly as well. I couldn't hold the bottle on either end, so there was always someone challenging me for the lead. Kept things interesting. Gordon used the Intimidator feature on me on the tri-oval, and I was determined to have a good pit lane entry. I got off the gas way too late and was sliding the entirety of 3 and 4. Closing on the pit lane, I was still going too fast, so I hung a hard left right at the end and somehow, some way, made it onto the pit lane without getting a penalty. Except there is no way that's true, because if you look at the footage, I was definitely going 72 when I hit the line. But don't let facts get in the way of a good story. The pit crew delivered a mid-stop, and I had to LePage Stewart for a 60 to have any hope of a good finish. As more and more cars rejoined the track, it was just me and Kenseth the whole way. He was running the middle for no reason, but I still had to catch him before my tires started going bad. I got to the lead on lap 12, but couldn't hold the bottom, and it was a replay of the early race once again. I fell in line coming to the white and rode as close as I could for some draft. The 17 didn't have a good run off, and I could only go to the top. But this set me up horribly for turn 1, and I overdrove it, hitting the wall. Thankfully, I didn't lose any momentum from this. Down the backstretch, it looked like a replay of the Coke 600 all over again. I tried everything to bait Kenseth up, but he wouldn't take it. It wasn't until the center of the corner that Kenseth barely drifted up the track, and I took my shot. Hold on. Hold on. Hold your horses, ladies and gentlemen! Go, go, go!
The 17 car is looking to finish.
Yes!
This one's over with. We're first. Awesome win, buddy.
Oh. My God. It felt great to finally take one back from Kenseth, even if he really wasn't our main problem in the championship at this point. In fact, leaving Chicagoland, I was still 23 points behind Bowyer. But the good news is that this was more than a moral victory like Daytona, and it was better than a Pyrrhic victory like at Infineon. No, my friends, we finally had a true victory at Chicagoland. It was time to start turning around the season.
And with that, we have come to the end of stage number 2 for this video, and you know what that means. It's finally time to find out what is inside the Kasey Kahne lunchbox. Let's go. All right, let's not waste any more time. Let's do it. What is inside the Kasey Kahne lunchbox? These are Casey Mears booty shorts. Size small from Chase Authentics. Chase Authentics made this. If this video can get 1,000 likes, then in a future video I will put on the Casey Mears booty shorts. I'm sure that's what everyone came out here for.
The next race takes place at New Hampshire, another track where brakes are super important. It's very similar to Martinsville, but the difference is you're actually capable of driving without brakes here. And by capable, I mean the AI are your only source of slowing. Things were going fine until 2 to go, where I attempted to drive into turn 1. The car would not slow down at all and hit Gordon at an awkward angle. Every other time I hit someone in this corner during this race, it was fine, but this time the car decided to eat the inside wall for no reason. I was just like, okay, guess we'll try this one again. But then something happened. Just gonna die for no reason. It's saved. Why was autosave on? 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 You know what that is? That is 6 hours of work down the fucking toilet because autosave was fucking on. This incident pretty much undid all the good vibes that the previous race at Chicagoland had brought, and I was right back to hating my life and wishing I was dead. Not like that's been an unusual mood for me lately, but suddenly every single race was once again do or die since we were getting pretty late into the season. And that leads us to the return to Pocono. I spent over an hour on this one race, and what's annoying is I had plenty of good runs, but it seemed to just not matter. Every single race, Boyer and Gordon finished in the top 5. I had solid 10th place speed every single attempt, but I was still losing 20 to 30 points on both of them. The anger just continued to compound as time ticked by until I got a Boyer DNF on lap 1 on this attempt.
Everything okay with the car? Ease up a little.
Sure,
Easy
I guess
now.
that's a 60.
Need some of that grip later.
None of that was my fault. At this point, it was pretty much settled that this had to be the run. It was not easy at all, but I managed to get 12th while Boyer got last. This allowed me to gain 104 points, but I was still pretty far back. And after all those races where Boyer and Gordon kept running 1-2, I was still pretty much as demotivated as ever. The situation wasn't helped at all by the fact that the next race was Indianapolis. I got a strange relationship with this track, to say the least. On one hand, this is probably my worst track in the game. These shadows going into turn 1 are so difficult to judge in qualifying, and the AI races you way too hard here. This is also the place where the majority of the best day of my life took place. On the other hand, this is also the place where the worst day of my life took place, so I suppose that cancels it out, doesn't it? Either way, we managed to just barely make it into the Indy 500, and the race went about as you'd expect it to. I was decently fast and sped on the pit lane. After the stops, we rejoined in a stalwart 40th. How unbelievably typical. I did what I could to make up spots and ended up 9th. Reed Sorensen would kiss the bricks for his second career win, and Carl Long was back to a half race behind Gordon in points. You may think that this challenge is going horribly, and you'd be right. But the good news doesn't end there. The next race on the docket is Watkins Glen. Oh. I spent so much time on this race. I tried every which way of trying to get a good finish here, and the sad part is that I didn't even need a good finish. I just needed Gordon and Boyer to not have a good finish. But that's just the thing. This mod doesn't have any randomly good road course drivers like the base NASCAR Thunder 2004 does. The A-level drivers just start on the front row everywhere, and this was being compounded by the fact that Gordon and Boyer were at the top of the standings. This race is also too short to hit the randomize button with a DNF. The results would always just be the same as the running order, which locked Boyer and Gordon into the top 5 every time.
All clear, buddy.
What a great attempt that was. Oh, Gordon's dead! Oh, Gordon's dead!
There weren't very many changes.
Oh, fuck, I'm sure Boyer won! Please, not Boyer. Yeah, what a show. Kill myself. This might be a new fucking best attempt here. Fuck, that's not even better than the other one.
Hold it steady. Rewind.
Why? Why can't you just give me room? Tire blown. Attempt over. Tire blown equals attempt over. Don't. No, don't. Oh my fucking god. Actually, this is good. Cutscene. Okay, I just lost fucking 100 spots.
Everything okay with the car?
No, nothing is okay. Fuck this goddamn game.
On your left. Go easy on the car.
Tire blown, immediate fail.
Are you
Oh,
left?
fuck off.
Save your tires.
We're still going. We're still fucking going. We completed a goddamn lap. It may be under caution, but holy fuck, we completed a lap at Watkins Glen. It happened. It only took however fucking many attempts it took.
Careful, buddy. Looks like the left front
Tire
just blew.
fucking blown. Wowie. Wow, 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 wow. How wonderful is that? I should try simulating. Next time I'm just gonna press the simulate button and see what happens. Maybe Gordon finishes last. That'd be fun. That'd be really funny. Or maybe we have a good run. Maybe we finish like 30th. That'd be better than I could do in the actual race. Casey on the pole. That doesn't matter. It does not fucking matter. Nothing that happens in this matters. Simulate the race. How does that go? Horribly. Dead last. Sure. Sure.
One on your right. Take it easy on those tires.
Alright.
Best place for him is in your rear view mirror. Forget about him.
Yeah. That makes so much sense. Just so much sense that he just fucking throws it in and kills you. As the number of attempts increased, my sanity number decreased. As stupid as all this was, slowly but surely there was a strategy being developed. My strategy was to wreck on lap 1 in order to shorten the race by a lap. Everyone pits during the lap 1 caution, which moves you up to the front, so you're not running into people in the corners. From there, you are way faster than the AI up the hill through the S's. This gives you some separation between you and the rest of the field, heading into the biggest challenge on the track. Learning how to get through the bus stop was a nightmare. I had absolutely no idea for the first hour of attempts. At first, I thought riding the wall was the only way, but there's no way to guarantee you'll survive the turn. More often than not, the car will just explode immediately. But the separation that you get up the hill lets you play with entry just a little bit. And all you need to do is aim the car to miss the 2 barriers. From there, just drive into the grass, and there's just a little bit of sand that will help you slow down and complete the corner into the carousel. From there, it's pretty straightforward. The AI is really bad on the last left-hander, so you can use the wall to slow down as much as you need, and they won't even be able to pass you. From there, just coast into the final corner, and there you have it. A perfect lap at Watkins Glen. Where's the fucking... Okay. The dangerous parts of this lap are using the walls to brake, obviously. Any tap after the car radar turns red could mean an immediate DNF. The more annoying outcome, however, is blown tires. They seem completely arbitrary, but during this challenge, it seemed like they would pop up at the most annoying possible times to ruin good runs. Edwards, so much better than every other front row we've had. Best fucking car in this every attempt ever.
The 99 car made some contact there. He pretty much had it with you.
Don't. Are you kidding me?
Number 25 is coming up quick. Are you in? We got shuffled back to third. Keep digging. 3
Casey,
wide.
why are you blocking?
Okay, back to 4.
How many more were left?
Clear on both sides.
Sailing straight into the fucking sand. That's 5 spots I'm never getting back.
Stay patient. The 99 car is going for the block.
The leader works off turn 4. Checkered flag is in
Turn
the air.
4.
Still every position.
Where the fuck are you, announcer? Oh my god, let's go! Let's go! Oh! I lost points to both Gordon and Boyer, but like not hardly any. What a oh my god, dude. There's no way it can go better than that. There's no way. None. Zero chance.
Not many drivers led a lap in this
This was not the prettiest race at Watkins Glen, and I still had to eat a Gordon win. but I accepted the 6th place finish and moved on. I was 105 points behind Gordon, but it wasn't the end of the world. Watkins Glen went from impossible to just a loss of 30 points. If anyone else out there thinks they can do better than that, give yourself a spin with no brakes at the Glen. That is my official challenge to you, the viewer. After that absolute nightmare, it was time to get back to the grind. Michigan went really well and I finished 3rd. Bristol was really fun as I got the 2nd pole of the playthrough and had a great race with Casey in the first half. Now this right here is peak NASCAR gaming. Casey went down to pit and I took the lead until lap 13. I decided to pit because getting down to 70 wasn't an issue here, and the NASCAR Thunder Gods struck back in this race against my heresy.
Lord Gordon has marked the crew will go right side first. Change right side tire. 1 can of racing fuel going
I would
in.
scream if it
Crew
still
will now
was
swing
working.
over to the left side. This will be a
No,
full tire.
David Gilliland moment.
2 cans of 76
Damn.
racing fuel.
David Gilliland moment does not roll off the tongue nearly as good as Ward Burton moment. It really must be said. As a result of this caution, I was not in the lead, and neither was Casey. But I persevered and even started making up a few spots. The car was flying, and I was up into 2nd, having to face off against Jeff Burton. It was a great battle, and I, of course, got a low rival with Burton to keep things interesting. Coming to the white, I didn't slow down enough, got into Kyle Petty, and went up the track. Burton went to the bottom, and we were side by side at the white. We stayed this way all the way around the track, and let me tell you, I am very glad he was only a 40 and not a 60. I hit the wall again in turn 3, and Kyle Petty tried his best to stop me, but it wasn't enough, and Carl Long held on the outside to win the Bristol night race. This was a very fun race. I'm surprised how well not using the brakes went at this track. The pit lane nonsense also came up in our favor, and for the first time all season, Carl Long was the points leader by 8. It was a tumultuous ride to get to this point, but it felt good to finally see. That didn't mean the battle was over though. We still had 12 races to go, including Dover and Martinsville. The fight had only just begun. Darlington was a pretty standard affair for this point in a challenge run. I was the fastest car by far, and even slowed down to pit road speed. With 5 to go, it was Casey in front of Stewart for the lead. As much as I wanted Casey to win the Southern 500, I had to take the lead because Gordon was coming. When I took the spot, Gordon immediately took 2nd and was annoying all the way to the finish. It was a lot more intense playing the game than it is watching it back, and I sweated out another win. Gordon finishing 2nd obviously meant I gained basically nothing, but it was nice to be on the good side of a small point swing for the first time all season. Richmond was the opposite of fun. I still had no speed in qualifying and no speed in the race. Richmond is shit in this challenge, and I died. Brian Vickers won for Red Bull, and I was now 59 points behind Gordon. I was not having any fun, so I just moved on to New Hampshire. I was ready to take revenge in this race for what had happened earlier in the season. I died again. On the 2nd attempt, things went way better. We got a perfectly timed caution, allowing me to pit by myself. Halfway fuel at that exact moment. We're in business. It's Dale Jarrett again.
Fuel's down to half.
What is he doing? For the 2nd week in a row. We had barely enough fuel to make it to the finish, which gave us another win on the season. And that left us 29 points back from Gordon. But sadly, the celebrations would be short-lived. It was time to go back to Dover. At night. If you can believe it, Dover in this challenge is equally as shit at night as it is during the day. People kept brake checking me, leaving me wishing I had the ability to do the same to them. I did not survive the first attempt, and the 2nd attempt is where things got interesting. I did not let out of the gas in time to make the pit lane, but I did, however, use Bobby Labonte to get me the rest of the way down. This did not result in me speeding, and Juan Montoya was so impressed by my strategies that he ate the pit barrels and brought out a conveniently timed caution. I rolled down the pit lane having no idea whether or not this would be a legal stop, but I took service regardless. I'm not sure why this happened. Maybe Juan thought the barrel was a jet dryer, am I right, guys? I didn't have much luck on the restart as Labonte was a 60 rival and any attempt to pass would mean certain death. I knew I was fast enough to win this race, and I wanted to take a victory at this shit track so badly. But it just wasn't worth risking it against Lemani. I just had to sit there and take it. Thankfully, it was Talladega time, so it was nice to be able to get an easy win. I even coast-checked Gordon at the line so he would lose second. 5 points is 5 points, man, especially with how this playthrough is going up to this point. It still wasn't enough to take the lead, as I was 4 points back. The pain is unreal. Next up is Kansas, which is a shit track whether you have a working brake pedal or not. I had a very overpowered car by this point, so this race was honestly not terrible.
Okay, we're clear.
Perfect pit road entry. Everything was going okay until this caution. We were going to lose the first lap after the restart, and Gordon, take a wild guess where he was. To my shock, Gordon gave up on the restart and started falling back on the outside. After this painful race, I was maybe going to have a shot at gaining points, but Jimmy Johnson was being a fantastic teammate. I had to beat his ass out of the way, and then next came Gordon, who I slipped past like nothing, which let me finish ahead of him and gain a fat 5 points. After Kansas, we had the points lead back by a whopping 1 point. Next up is Charlotte, another race I desperately wanted a rematch at. I took some big risks heading onto the pit lane, and this of course hurt me. I definitely did not make the pit lane, so I had to stay out and come under caution. I was annoyed by this, but hopefully the caution landing during the pit cycle would keep me in it. I was correct about this, as between the speed of the car and people pitting late, I was back in contention. It was going to be another classic Charlotte finish. I definitely could have passed Casey here, but honestly, with Gordon and Boyer not a factor, I just took second. There's no one on the track I'd rather lose to. This merciful act left me 20 points ahead of Gordon, but I would immediately regret not winning that last race, because it was time to head back to Martinsville. I spent many attempts at this race doing God knows what. Honestly, watching this footage back, I genuinely think I had no plan for this race. Even with a very strong car, the brakes are still too important here, and eventually I just held it against the wall and tried to blow the engine. I imagine I was just trying to not get any rivals and move on at this point. Randomizing the results left me 58 points behind Gordon. It was far from ideal, but at least Boyer wasn't a problem at this point. So I just took what the game gave me and saved. We had 4 races to go to make up the swing. Let's get it. Atlanta was very straightforward. Hamlin decided to show up for the first time since race 2 of the season, but I dealt with him and took another win. This race brought Gordon's lead down to 20. Easy. Next is Phoenix. This race is pretty easy in the regular playthrough, but you gotta be careful into turn 1 when you have no brakes. I did not speed on the pit lane, and the emulator was not having a good time. Why is PCSX2 got 2,000, 3,000 megabytes of memory and climbing? I can't close anything else. Look at this! What is going on with this game? I was making passes, but annoyingly, so was Gordon. As much as I wanted to get around him, he was a local rival, which made passing difficult. Eventually, I was able to get alongside in a dangerous spot, and Gordon came down and hit me, but it ended up hurting him more than it did me.
Play nice. Got one outside.
Oh, he's in the wall! He's in the wall! I'm in the wall! Oh my god, what a fucking drive. The game's doing everything it can to crash, but it doesn't make a difference. The fucking allergy pill's going to victory lane at Phoenix. Where'd Gordon finish? What a scrub, he's out! He's out of the top 10, what a bitch! Gordon! Where'd he finish? He DNF'd! What? He DNF'd from that? No chance! No chance! What happened? Jeff! No, that is not my fault. I barely touched him. I barely that. No, that is not my fault. No. Oh my god, all that time, all that time that I spent in Watkins Glen and bitch Pocono, only for Gordon to die in this race, and now I have a full race lead. No. As great as this moment is in a narrative sense, this result annoyed me more than it made me happy. This one race meant that all that time I spent doing Pocono and Watkins Glen over and over ultimately meant nothing. If I'd known I was going to get a Gordon DNF this late into the season, I wouldn't have had to meticulously figure out every single corner of Watkins Glen with no brakes, or rely on Boyer DNFing at Pocono to continue the playthrough. The last 2 races of the season are pretty inconsequential at this point. Gordon tried his hardest to rebound at Rockingham, but the damage was already done. Running the game was the biggest challenge I had at Homestead.
To the Homestead Miami
Hopefully
Speedway.
it doesn't crash! Oh, immediately as I say crash, it's like fucking ask and you shall receive. Immediately as I say the word, it stops. Impressively awful. When the final checkered flag of 2007 flew at Homestead, I was backwards and in 7th. The championship was once again mine, and I was successfully able to complete the No Brakes Challenge in NASCAR Thunder 2004. I finished 160 points ahead of Boyer, who returned to claim P2 at the final hour, and I gave Brian France more of a reason to create the Final Four format. 2 poles, 10 wins, 21 top 5s, 28 top 10s, average start of 24.4, average finish of 8.9. This was a strange challenge that had just about everything you could ask for. At some point, I did realize that using the reverse would work pretty much the same as using the brakes, but thankfully, it did not make a difference on the season. And yeah, this was a very difficult video to make between the tech issues, self-imposed time constraints, and general all-consuming depression I've been dealing with. By the time this is uploaded, it will be 2025, and I'm sure I'll be hoping in some vain manner that somehow 2025 is just gonna magically be better. But by all accounts, there's just no chance that that's the case. I don't know what I'm trying to say in the conclusion of this video, but one thing's for sure, I hope I upload more in 2025. I would love to come back and be putting up videos on a regular basis, but I can barely get out of bed every day and find a reason to continue giving a shit. So, what you get is what you get for the foreseeable future. I'm sorry that this is gonna be such a downer ending, but like, you know, man, it's hard. It's hard, and it's not getting any easier. So, regardless of all that, thank you all so much for watching this video. Hopefully you took some enjoyment out of it, and hopefully, like I said, more uploads this year versus last year. I just want to fucking be happy again. That's all I ask for, but I know that is asking a lot, so I'll stop talking and just call it the end of the video, and you can hear some of the fun bloopers. There's always bloopers in these videos. It's funny how that works. Anyway, thanks for watching. See whatever comes next. Bye! Races to go and go in. But there's just one thing that I cannot afford, and that is a fuck to give. No, it's a brake pedal. For Mega Predator. Yeah! Whoa! We're happy about this fact. I was due for a round. Use your words, bitch! Lap after lap, turn after. Fuck off! If I'd known that I would get a Gordon DNF this late into the season, if I'd known I was going to get a DNF, that is not that is not what happened, and I was struggling big time. I was only good enough to finish 8th. You know, the only reason that I do this tap was so that I could find my place in the Tails Back in Diapers videos, because I didn't want to listen to the fucking hours of talking in that boring story, right? I didn't want to fucking do that in editing. So what I did was tap the microphone whenever there was an issue, so I know where to make the cuts. But like, I've been doing this ever since, even though I'm actually listening to the entire video while editing. So I know that I mess up and need to fix it. But I still do the tap for some reason. I've just been doing the tap for like 8 years now. That's the reason that I do the tap. But I don't need to do the tap now in this video because I'm actually listening to my voice as I'm editing it. Why do I keep doing the tap? There's no reason to. Stupid me. And my stupid things that I do. Alright, whatever. Let's just keep fucking talking. Okay, that is not what happened, and I was struggling big time. 1 lap. 1 lap is all we need. Please, game. Please. How long?
This 10-second gap to the
second I
leader.
pushed him out.
KG appreciators and the Omega appreciators. Wow. This is sad, is what it is.